Okay, and we are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
Doing just dandy, Jamie. It's been a good start to the week over here in the
Okay,
state.
and
How
we
about
are
you, man?
live. Welcome to a new episode. I'm doing good. Hey, it's as I mentioned before the show, I've got a bit of a chest infection. Basically, every time someone tunes into this podcast, I'm sick in some way. Um, Chest infections aren't fun, but I'll get over it. It's been a long week, very cold week here. We're getting snow now, but thankfully, we have video games, entertainment happening. Godzilla minus zero is coming out this year. It's going to be a good year for entertainment. But it's been a long week. Before we get into all the topics, which we have a lot of, Logan, what have you been playing?
Yeah, I just finished Alien Incursion Evolved Edition Part 1, which is the non-VR version for those who don't know of the game. And it came out for Xbox, PC, and PlayStation. And unlike the VR version where they went ahead and made the whole game available up front, and you can play it start to finish. They cut it in half for the non VR version. My guess is to help, get it out the door faster
Yeah.
for the conversion from VR to non VR. Normally, I'd be kind of like a little like, really? Come on, man. You're making me buy the game twice. But I get it because it's not an easy thing to just flip a switch and do. And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. You've played Isolation and Elite Fire Team as well, so you'll know where I'm coming
Oh
from.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it kind of feels like a nice happy medium between those. Like it's scarier than Fire Team Elite, but it's definitely not survival horror in the sense of, oh my gosh, I am screwed if this xenomorph finds me and I'm just cooked and cannot do anything. Or I can scare it away, maybe, or hide or distract it. Like, this one gives you weapons and you can, take care of aliens just fine. And eventually you find bigger things to worry about. But, like, in general, it's got some scary moments, especially towards the end of part one, that I would say reminded me a lot of Dead Space's 2's little eye thing everybody knows about.
Oh yeah.
I'll just leave it at that, not get too spoilery, but there's a medical section that is like truly horrifying. And the game is really fun. I enjoyed it. To part two, so I just finished that. I started Death Howl, which is an interesting kind of rogue-like deck builder that I think it's made by 11-bit. I can't remember who, but it's an indie studio. Basically, you're this mother and you're in the spirit realm, and your son has been whisked away. He was killed somehow in the forest, and these four spirits have him in this netherworld. And so you're trying to get your son's spirit back. And so you're going around and you're befriending other nature spirits and fighting other ones. And it has a lot of, kind of like inscription or mixed with tactic kind of gameplay. I'm liking it so far. So I've been playing those. Plan on going through the FF7 so I can get that extra stuff for the release that's very soon,
Oh
the
yeah.
imminent release of Final Fantasy VII, which I'm so excited for. Been waiting a very long time for that game.
Oh yeah.
Can you believe it's been 11 years since that game was first announced?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, it's insane. It's 2026, and I remember seeing it teased in 2015. It's been a long time coming for Xbox. So yeah, I've been doing those, watching a lot of shows, enjoying Fallout. Kind of getting the itch to maybe jump into a Fallout game again. It's been a while. And yeah, so that's what I've been gaming to. How about you, man?
Man, I've been playing all sorts. I've been playing Mafia: The Old Country. Fun game, what can I say? I always talk about how I want more shorter games. And even though it does seem like I might be taking a
Mhm.
long time to play this, I've just been playing in like small chunks, like, maybe 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. It's just a really good way to experience the game, and considering how checkpoints work in the game, you can basically play the game in short bursts if you want, which I like. I've been playing Like a Dragon Pirate Accuser in Hawaii. I would never get used to that name, by the way. Like, it's such a long name. But that's a fun game. You have Assassin's Creed 4 mechanics in a Yakuza game. Who would have thought? But really enjoying that. Ship combat. I mean, the best part about Assassin's Creed 4 was its ship combat. Like, anything
Oh
else
yeah.
could be put to the side. I mean, hell, we got Skull and Bones. Well, you know how that game turned out. But we got Skull and Bones basically because people liked the sailing in Assassin's Creed 4, right? I won't go into the whole backstory about why Skull and Bones exists, but people like the sailing and the naval combat. So the fact that they have that here, there's mini games, big boss battles, all this stuff. It's a very quirky game. If people have played Yakuza before, you know what I'm talking about. But man, what a game! And I've been playing Arc Raiders, and the funny thing is, Arc Raiders is one of the topics in the show about how well it's doing and stuff. But I want to talk about my experience quickly with it, because whenever I make posts on Twitter of my clips, I always say as a single player gamer, because I'm trying to illustrate a point, right? I know most people that tune into my content on YouTube or even on Twitter, they are mainly single player gamers, right? So like, it's to actually like let people know, like, hey, this is actually for you. I'm letting people know that if you like single player games, I'm actually recommending this multiplayer experience, because I'm playing this as a single player game. Like, don't get me wrong, I play with a friend. We do duos every couple of days. I'm not talking about that experience. The duos experience is a war zone. It's a post-apocalyptic hellscape of no escape, and everyone is going after each other. Solos, peaceful, love. And I actually counted, by the way, out of my 30 past solo matches, I've only been killed twice by actual people. So I'm having a really good experience with it. I don't even think I told you, Logan, but I'll mention the story now. So when Arc Raiders came out, did absolute huge numbers online, right? Like a lot of people that pay attention to single player games that follow me, they were asking me like, "Hey, would I like this game?" And I have to mention this story because it was pretty amazing. So when the game came out, I waited a day to get it. I thought, there might be server issues or whatever. So I got it the day after it came out, and basically from the day after it came out till about, I want to say the 20th of December, every single time I played Arc Raiders, I literally went into a map, went to some of the buildings that have loot, like houses, residential areas, that sort of thing, and I would get loot and extract. That's it. I wouldn't engage in combat with other players. I wouldn't engage in combat with other machines unless I had to get past them. I never went after the bosses, the medium-sized machines, nothing. So if people are playing Arc Raiders right now, they know which enemies I'm talking about. Basically, if I had to fight it to get past it, I would, unless it was bigger than me. So anyway, it's a couple of days before Christmas, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm fancying 15 minutes on Arc. I'll go in. So I'm opening up this container, and the timer says there's 29 minutes left, because each round is 30 minutes. So I'm opening up this container, and I see this person running towards us, and I hear his mic, him talking to his mic, and I think he was definitely Polish. And I was thinking, okay, this is where I'm gonna die. I'm going to get killed because I'm not prepared, and I'm looking in a container. And this guy says, "Hey, I'm going to fight the Queen. Do you want to come?" And I thought, you know what? Screw it. So I went with him. We walked all the way across the other end of the map, which took us like 5 minutes. You having to manage stamina that whole time. And we got to the other end, and this huge queen. And for people that don't know, this queen is literally the size of a building. It's massive. Right, it fires missiles. It's got miniguns, all sort of stuff. And we're fighting this thing. Another guy comes along. We all talking along on the mics, trying to help each other, give each other bandages, shield recharges, all this stuff. And as we were done, towards the end of the round. We didn't have enough time to defeat the queen. We had to extract. But I had a key. And if you have an extraction hatch key, you can basically use an extraction hatch whenever you want. None of these other guys had one. So I said, hey, want to share my key? We'll all leave together. So me and like 5 other people or whatever are running towards this hatch right before the timer runs out. And as I was approaching the little control panel to put the key in, the 2 guys I was fighting with most of the time said, hey, I want to give you something. So one of the guys gave me one of the best weapons in the entire game. And the other guy gave us a grappling hook, which is also one of the best items in the game. And I was like, wow, thank you very much. That's great. So anyway, we all extracted, and I haven't spoken to them since. Right? It was such a great experience, and I've never experienced anything like that when it comes to video games. And it got me hooked even more than I already am. So ever since that happened, I'm purposely going into matches now looking for big enemies. So I've gone from basically shopping every game, looking for loot to sell, to fighting queens, bastions, rocketeers, leapers, bombardiers, and it's completely changed my experience. So basically, Arc Raiders, this game I purchased in October, is basically a different game now, all because I'm just doing one thing differently. And I keep saying I'm a single player gamer because it may as well be single player. The other people I'm fighting with may as well be NPCs, and I'm playing a single player game. Arc Raiders is doing huge numbers, which we'll talk about in a bit, but one of the reasons why you've seen a lot of people talk about it's a new kind of experience. I've always talked about how I love watching people play Escape from Tarkov. Well, on console, we've never really had that experience. And, we've had Delta Force Extraction, which came out in September, I believe. I will never go back to that. I could go on for hours why. But, this Arc Raiders, it's got a console user interface. It's super easy to understand. Everything's explained to you very easily. And it's very approachable. Not just its price, but just the way the game's explained. Every gameplay mechanic in the game is super easy to understand. And, sometimes I feel like some games, no matter how many tutorials you do, throw you into the deep end, right? And they expect you to figure it out. And I don't need a game to handhold. But, yeah, I see in chat, you know nothing about Tarkov. Exactly. Most people don't. I'm one of those nerds that like just watching streamers play it. But Escape from Tarkov is, I think, post-apocalyptic wasteland. You go in, get stuff, extract. You get given missions, basically like Arc Raiders, but it's more first person, it's military style, super hardcore. I thought it would never come to console. Funny enough that they announced that it is coming to console right after Arc Raiders popped off. Isn't that funny, Logan, how they figured out how to put it on a console after 8 years when Arc Raiders came out?
Yeah, it's almost like oh crap, I gotta get my together real quick, and before this, completely controls the market.
Yeah.
But kudos to them for finally getting it done.
Yeah. And, I do think that will have a chance when it comes out, because I'm sure some people want the more military-style experience. But, look, I think it's great that people are experiencing this game now, because, Logan, you don't do multiplayer. You do not care about multiplayer at all, and I get that, right? As someone that doesn't do multiplayer, you have to admit that the whole shift to Battle Royale for the past 7 years has been a bit much.
Yeah, it's gotten monotonous and obnoxious. It's like so many games I see on the timeline from, both people I follow and just industry folks and stuff. It's like battle pass this, season pass that, or, a holiday pass, or just like various ways to just milk their customers dry. And hey, I get it. It's the business. Doesn't mean I like it or respect it, but it is what it is. I wish they'd go away from it. Season passes I can understand for an expansion thing, if you buy a game, a Bethesda RPG or something, and inevitably there's going to be a major expansion to 3, and so you buy a pass for it, and so you get the expansions whenever they come in. they'll, be ready to go and you just install them and life's great. Like, I'm totally cool with expansion passes and stuff like that. But the whole, like, having to shell out a bunch for passes every so often instead of the devs, I don't know, making just more content for the games like they used to in a reasonable manner is just, I don't know. It sounds boomerish, but it's just I kind of miss how things were handled in previous generations, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is a hot take thing to sometimes say, and like, look, you've seen the kind of replies I get on Twitter, so like, I don't say everything I think. Like, if I did,
I
which,
mean, that would be a dangerous place if we all said what we thought.
yeah, and I live in the UK.
Yeah, I wouldn't see you again, man.
Yeah, I'll get arrested for just blinking. But I think I always talk about Call of Duty and like multiplayer at its peak back when Modern Warfare came out, right? Because we didn't really have skins back then. We didn't have battle passes. We didn't have season passes. Like you did have a DLC pass for the map packs sometimes, but like outside of map packs, that's it. Call of Duty map packs, Battlefield map packs. And ever since like Fortnite. Look, Fortnite is a great game, but my God, that ruined everything. Like,
oh my gosh, it is the inflection point in the entire industry of the last 15 years, and I'm not even being hyperbolic about it.
yeah, I mean, look, look, we have a lot of topics we're going to be talking about. I see the Witcher 3. Yeah, we'll be talking about the Witcher 3 thing. I have a topic listed that it's going to get my blood boiling. It will be funny for everyone else to listen, but my blood's boiling. It's not bad news, and it's not good news. It's just a thing. And I'm going to pop
Is it
off
a Mass Effect calendar?
No. Surprisingly enough, it's not Mass Effect related. Although, let's be honest, at some point something will happen and I'll rage. But, Arc Raiders, I've had a great experience with it. What can I say? And I'll mention the monetization thing quickly. Like, myself and Logan, we have the same opinion on monetization practices. They're kind of scummy these days. I've got to give Arc Raiders props because of how they've monetized it. It's $40. There are premium skins, but you get premium currency just by playing. And one of the cool things is my friend that I play duos with, he plays maybe 4 hours a week. Maybe. Yeah, let's just say 4 hours a week of Arc Raiders. And he got it a week after it came out, and he has enough to buy 2 premium skins. So I think that's pretty fair. I already have enough money to buy another premium skin. The only downside is that every time they announce a skin, it looks crap. It's like you have this post-apocalyptic wasteland with robots, and like the announced skins, right, where the top half looks amazing. Like the announced one today, it kind of looks like remember the Death Troopers from Star Wars?
Oh, those are sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the top half kind of looks like one of them. However, the bottom half, the trousers, are basically these corsets that are tied together. It looks...
What?
Yeah, it looks so bad. Like, so you have this, like, really cool outfit up top with, like, all these electronic components and stuff and, like, goggles, right? And the bottom half, the trousers, look like corsets tied together. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Oh my gosh, that's like a Zoom meeting outfit where you just don't put pants the right way.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. But hey, I mean, look, I'm not going to buy that skin, but the fact that people are making fan art of how the skin could be better, that's I suppose that's not even a bad thing to complain about in a game. The worst thing we can complain about is the bad premium skins. So the game itself, bloody great. The snow event just ended today, but man, I'm so happy for all the people because a bunch of single player gamers have messaged me, like I said before, and said, "Hey, will I like this?" And the cool part is, single player gamers have messaged me saying they got it based on my, me talking about it, and they love it. And it's a multiplayer game. And it's just a refreshing experience. But yeah, thought I'd mention that quickly because, man, I've mentioned before how I was addicted to GTA Online when it came out. It was bad. It was bad. Like the amount of time I put in that game, never again. It's not that bad, but let's just say I'm thinking about the game when I'm not playing it. But yeah, I've seen more people pop up in chat like, look, by the way, sometimes the notifications don't go out until like 10 minutes after the show goes live. So if you're enjoying the show, please share it out, hit like and subscribe. It really helps the algorithm and stuff. And even though I don't like mentioning that, it does help. But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Xbox, next gen Xbox stuff. We're going to be talking about the Steam stuff, Wolfenstein 3, all that stuff. Literally, we have about 18 topics. It's going to be a fun one. But anyway, it's been a long time since we've talked about topics. Let's get into it. Now, Anthem got shut down. We'll quickly mention this. Anthem came out in 2016, Logan, or 2017? Oh, 2018. Yeah, 2018. It came out after the One X came out. Because that was the big game they revealed at the end of the show. And look, I bought it wasn't the digital deluxe, it was the deluxe version on disc, and I know you bought the same one as well, didn't you, Logan?
I bought the Legion of Dawn Steelbook edition, and I feel like a clown.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we've all been there, but man, it's funny because that game had so much hype going into it, right? You had BioWare fans like me that are going, "This is going to be the best thing since sliced bread," hyping it unlike anything else. I apologize, but I couldn't be more excited because it's the creators of Mass Effect. And it came out, and those servers day one were rough. There was clipping everywhere. The netcode was broken. There was times when I was standing next to a character talking to me, and then they would just disappear. Like it was pretty bad. And then, as one of these games that was promised as a 10-year experience, it never had even 6 months of content. So the thing is, Anthem had these really good moments, right? The combat was super fun. The flight was probably the best part of the game, right? To the point where people
Iron Man Simulator.
Yeah, to the point where people if we get an Iron Man game, they need to have this flight model, right? Because you kind of felt like Iron Man, and it got to the end of the year. They didn't put out any expansions. They put out a premium skin for Mass Effect, like N7 skins. By the way, I'd never bought those skins. So, yeah. I'm not totally nuts when it comes to Mass Effect. Not totally, anyway. But yeah, Anthem had some potential. And anyway, they put the Christmas lights up. And I've told Logan this story a million times. They put the Christmas lights up in December. And then they forgot to take them down till about March or February. They basically forgot they had a game, and it never got any more content at all. And it was a shame, but I mean, look, the game had no direction. It was disconjointed because when you're out in the wild in your javelin suit, you'd be going around, flying, shooting in third person, but the first person stuff in the hub made no sense. The quests were bad, the side characters were bad. It just didn't feel like the kind of caliber game you'd expect from BioWare. And that was that, They abandoned the game a year later, officially. And fast forward to a couple of months ago, they quietly announced that they're coming out with they're cancelling the game. They're shutting it down. And it shut down yesterday. It's a shame, but I mean, it is what it is. Like Logan, you bought the Legion of Dawn edition. It's what was your experience with the game, and what do you think of it shutting down? Because it was inevitable, but still.
I mean, it's always a bummer when something that you were excited for turns out to be a colossal and utter failure, and it does not live up to the hype at all in its same stratosphere. It was one of my most revered studios of all time that I adore, and they tried something different, which I respect. Like, hey, shoot your shot. I'm proud of you. You tried something cool. And so I don't fault them for trying it, but my gosh, did they miss. And it potentially started the death roll of BioWare as we know it. And it's just, I hope they bounce back and they do well with the upcoming Mass Effect. Like, you know, knock on wood. Like, I really want Mass Effect 4 to be awesome. Yes, I am with you. I'm calling it Mass Effect 4.
Yeah.
I am one of those people. We don't talk about that other one. Um, and so I hope Bioware gets it done. Experience with the game was I played it. There weren't very many people around when I hopped on. It was kind of fun to fly around and shoot some of the monsters and, do some of the stuff. It felt kind of like, but a little different.
Yeah.
But I mean, I liked the idea of the town and like some of the ideas they had, I thought could have been really cool. But for whatever reason, it just wasn't meant to be. And it is now just a really cool steelbook on my shelf that I will occasionally look at and go, yeah, I remember that. So yeah, that's my Anthem experience.
Yeah. I mean, look, I thought I'll always mention the flight. I thought flying in that game was incredible. You basically were Iron Man. Um, I still believe, and I mean this for every game. I still believe every online centric game needs to have an offline mode. It's like
100%.
somehow I don't know. Like really think about Anthem, right? You fly around with three other people, right? Why can't that be local co-op or um not even have dedicated servers, but have it pay to pay a multiplayer, right? I don't understand. Like one day, God forbid, Arc Raiders will shut down, right? One day, years from now, right? A game like that, I totally could see like how they could implement, an offline mode because you're in a world filled with evil robots, like. So why can't these games have offline modes? And I know it requires a ton of work, but and I think maybe games should be designed with that in mind. Like as they develop in the
I
game,
agree.
have because like look, let's think of let's look at Destiny. Right, Destiny 2's been out since 2017, I think. It's had tons of expansions, tons of content. Like while a game like that is being in development, they have to have some sort of way to let people play it offline, because essentially your game disc becomes a coaster. Every game. Like, remember back in the early 2000s, if you bought a game with multiplayer, you could fight against bots in most games, and that was always
This
fun.
is a hot take,
Yeah.
but I think that bots and split screen should be just a default thing
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
most multiplayers have. Like, I know I'm in the minority for split screen for some stuff, but there's something to be said that is different for a split screen experience with your friends or family locally in same room, same house, whatever, versus, truly online and being able to play against bots at the very least. If they could include just bots alone, that would be huge. But like if they could include those both or one of those for just multiplayer games in general going forward, I think, it would just do so much for gaming preservation and length and endurability. Because, like, heck, for as much crap as Redfall got, and deservedly so, they at least had the decency to make it an offline support and some other stuff towards the end as they closed it down and shut the page on that chapter to where you can still play it and it's preserved. Like, as great as not great of a game as it was, at least they did something good at the end with it. So I think that should just be an industry standard.
Yeah. I mean, I think The Crew 2 is a good example as well. That game came out years ago, and then they randomly put the game on sale. I think it was like 89 pence in the UK. I think it might have been like $1 in the US. But
Yeah, I bought it for
yeah,
$1.
yeah,
Yeah.
never had any intention of playing The Crew 2, but I bought it. I think everyone kind of had that idea. And then they announced it was going to get an offline mode, right? This game that stopped getting content, and they're like, okay, yeah, you can play it offline if you want. So if they ever do delist it, and you have the game bought for its 89 pence it was at the time, you could play it whenever. And I think that's cool. I think more games need to do that. But yeah, it's a shame about Anthem. But EA, they abandoned that game as fast as they humanly could. They had no way to monetize the game over a long time outside of the skins they had. They didn't even have they had no roadmap for that game at all. None. Which is crazy. But yeah, that's Anthem, unfortunately. But thankfully, that's the only negative story we have today. Well, I'm going to rant in a little bit, but that's not really about anything negative. But yeah, Anthem, what a shame. And I obviously want BioWare to make the best game ever when it comes to the next Mass Effect game. That game terrifies the living hell out of me. Nothing scares me more in life than the next Mass Effect game. Really think about it. A bit of a tangent. Do you know how much of I hate using the term, crash out I'm going to have if that's a bad game? Or if anything bad happens with that game? That will be apocalyptic. Oh my god. But yeah, anyway, so let's get into the rest of the topics. We'll quickly talk about Arc Raiders' success because it leads into the next topic. So Arc Raiders reached 12 million players sold. Crazy. The game was a $40 title. It didn't have the marketing budget of a big AAA game. And, it doesn't have a single-player mode, so it put off a lot of people instantly, but also opened people's eyes up to a new experience. And I've seen a lot of people wonder, why is this game doing so well? And like we were talking about before, multiplayer, in my opinion, has been stagnant for years. In the 2000s, you had Overwatch, and then everyone copied Overwatch. And then PUBG absolutely dominated the Steam charts. And then it got announced for console, and then Fortnite copied it, and then it became basically the biggest business entity on Earth. And everyone started doing Battle Royale games, and basically since 2016-17, it's either been hero shooters, or Battle Royales, or a regular PvP team-based game such as Halo, a Battlefield, Call of Duty. So you've basically had these three kinds of competitive multiplayer experiences for the past decade plus. And then you have this game come along. It introduces a brand new game type to people that they had no idea existed, unless you're a nerd like me that watched people play Tarkov. And you have single player gamers playing it, you have long-term multiplayer gamers playing it. There's tons of communities. The community for Arc Raiders is amazing. The meme culture alone is worth playing. The memes for Arc Raiders are incredible. And it's basically hit everything people have been wanting for a video game in the space, right? It's a new thing. It plays good. It looks good. It costs a good price. Its monetization practices are fine. And basically nobody has any complaints. It's weird, how many times, Logan, have we heard that a game's coming out in Unreal Engine 5, the game comes out and it has the worst performance and stutters imaginable?
It has happened a ton. Unreal Engine 5 has become it's not the buzz phrase they think it is. I would say the worst one now is if you hear a game has a 10-year plan, that game is going to be dead in 2 years. It's a kiss of death on games for some reason. But yeah, Unreal Engine 5 it doesn't hit the same. It looks good, but when they come out, unless it's the Coalition or Epic themselves doing it, or a studio that's well versed, they have some issues.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is, one of the developers tweeted out, basically when the tech test was going on in October, it was like, oh yeah, we took extra time to, lock down performance of the game, right? Like, it was just so weird for a developer to come out and say that up front, because like so many games get released early and there's issues, and even if a patch comes a day later, why couldn't they just take the extra time? But that's a different topic for another day. It hit basically everything people have been wanting for a new experience, price, everything, and 12 million copies sold. It's doing amazing numbers. Its price obviously helped a lot. I just saw in chat, 33 Immortals roadmap suggests 1.0 is out this summer and no further updates. Bit of a tangent, I know, again. This is the problem with a lot of big game releases now, or game releases in general. If that game doesn't have the viral success of something like, you know, a Hollow Knight, or, you know, an Expedition 33, or an Arc Raiders, or if it's not this like big AAA thing with an unlimited market budget, right? Almost everything in between dies, right? So that's why, you know, AA games fail all the time. Most you know, single player games. I see Mega Bad Seed in chat. Hey man, I'm good. Hope you're doing well. It's been a long time since I've seen you in here. We have a lot of topics left, but my God, it's so sad to see all these indie games, all these AA games, a lot of AAA games. They just come out and they fail. And if you go onto the store right now, there's thousands of games, thousands and thousands of games. Most games people haven't heard of, because only such a tiny percentage of games get the recognition. You know, it's a shame, but there's nothing we can really do about it. I try to talk about games that's one of the reasons why I talk about AA games a lot on here and on Twitter, because it's a weird genre. It's a weird genre of games because they don't get the marketing of a big game, and you know, they don't have the viral success of an indie game. But yeah, but Arc Raiders back up with that, like, it fits in between all those different categories. It has the visuals and performance and just look of a AAA game. It's essentially an indie AA game, right? And this is doing insane numbers. It basically hasn't lost any of its concurrent players on Steam since it came out. That's unheard of, by the way. You know, I think the last game that had something similar was PUBG, when that had like 2 million concurrent players on Steam, and then it eventually dropped. But that's because, you know, Fortnite and everything took off. But man, this game is doing insane numbers, and I think a lot of people are just experiencing something new for a change. And that's where we have to get into Battlefield's news. Battlefield has lost 93% of its player base. Ooh. Now, I don't record the conversations I have with my friend when we play Call of Duty or, you know, Arc Raiders. We both predicted this months ago. And I say this as a former Battlefield fan, as someone that used to play multiplayer PvP a lot. Battlefield has now had 5 bad games in a row. And Battlefield 6 isn't a bad game, from what I've seen and from what I've heard. The problem with Battlefield 6 is the same for a lot of other games. Content, right? We live in an age where gamers want instant gratification and they want content all the time. The problem is with games like Battlefield, it takes a long time to... Like Battlefield 2042, it took them, I think, 6 months to get one map out. Right?
Remember the scorecard?
Yeah. Oh, God, the leaderboard thing. Yeah, I don't think that had a leaderboard for about 6 months. A team-based PvP game. But man, you know, Battlefield losing all those people, like, it just goes to show, like, look, people were buying that game and saying, hey, this is the end of Call of Duty. And as someone that used to be a huge Call of Duty PvP fan and then a huge Battlefield fan, let me tell you, people comparing those games, it's never made sense, right? They come to two completely different experiences. You aren't going to get the Call of Duty experience in Battlefield, and you're not going to get the Battlefield experience in COD. It's always worked that way, right? If it's like Star Trek and Star Wars. They both take place in space, but you can't say they're the same, right? It's the same thing. So, like, you have Battlefield come out with a campaign, which people are happy with. You have the free-to-play Battle Royale, which, honestly, from what I've seen, they did copy a lot of Warzone mechanics, but I think Warzone is very good. But losing 93% of its player base, they need to get content out regularly. The battle passes don't really look that good because it's a military-based game, so you don't have exciting skins. And what gets people through battle passes? Skins. So, I was going to say BioWare, EA have themselves in this weird predicament where they have this military-based first-person shooter. You have Arc Raiders taking everyone's attention, and they have to somehow support a military-themed first-person shooter with skins. Ouch. I hope them the best, but man, like Logan, what do you think about them losing 93% of their player base?
Well, it's certainly less than ideal.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, it is interesting though that there were so many people gleefully saying that Battlefield was going to take COD's lunch money and that everybody was tired of this and that with Call of Duty Machine and they were going to flock to Battlefield. Goes to show you that there's a lot of smoke puffers online
Yep.
because these people, when it comes to actually show up and support something or do something, they don't stand on business. And they're not here, and Battlefield is collapsing. And honestly, this might be like a crazy idea take, but what if they kind of sunset Battlefield for a little bit and try, I don't know, like rebranding or resurrecting Medal of Honor or
Oh,
something like that
yeah.
as kind of a new, like, the brand association is different and it would feel more like a COD rival, but have kind of a different flair. Like, I don't know, maybe as a change of pace, like at least consider looking under the hood of an old, Medal of Honor franchise and bringing that back because that's what started Call of Duty to begin with and all that, and that name still carries some weight with the right folks.
Yeah. I like the idea of Medal of Honor because, like, I don't. Did you ever play Medal of Honor 2010?
No, that's one I wanted, and I think I'll probably pick it up for my Ally X because they never made it BC, but it's one I was in.
Yeah, that honestly, that is one of my favorite military first-person shooter campaigns. That is so much fun. Um, but the multiplayer, and I don't really think anyone plays that now, but like the multiplayer was actually kind of halfway between Call of Duty and Battlefield. It was
Interesting.
yeah, super. So you had smaller maps, but with more realistic. I'm doing air quotes for realistic gunplay. But like Medal of Honor 2010 was bloody great. Yeah, I'd love to see that IP brought back. And look, I just saw Megan chat mention the initial like hype for like. Look, there was a lot of big streamers playing Battlefield, and they were hyping this up like it's going to be the best thing ever. And I knew immediately the way. Like, look, you don't have the instant gratification like you do when you play a Call of Duty game. When you play Call of Duty, you get that kill, you have that dopamine hit, right? When you win a match of Warzone, dopamine hit, right? I love Warzone, but like Call of Duty is just satisfying to play. You can play Call of Duty casually. Hey, do you want to spend 10 minutes just, messing about in multiplayer? You can do that. The problem with Battlefield is you can't really play casually. You have to be a sweat, right? And I mean that in a nice way. Like, you have to be on guard all the time because you're playing for an objective. Whereas in Call of Duty, you're mainly playing for points, So, like, I knew the big streamers were never going to stay on it long. There was a lot of forced hate for Call of Duty, and I do think Black Ops 7 has its issues, but the amount of hate it got was ridiculous. Like, look, the campaign, in my opinion, is kind of disappointing. The fact that you can't pause it is weird. The gun...
What? You can't pause it?
Oh God, you don't know. So the reporting's been weird about this for months, and I've tried to clarify it to people, and it doesn't help that places like IGN, GameSpot, and stuff have reported this story wrong. Right? So here we go. You can play through the campaign solo or in co-op, right? But on the menu, it's called co-op campaign. And all these journalists and outlets start calling it a co-op only campaign. and you can't play solo. However, at the bottom left-hand side of the television screen, it says toggle what do you call it? Squad fill off, right? So if you toggle that off, you can play by yourself, right? You can't pause the game when you're playing. Yeah.
That's a colossal cluster cluck.
Yeah.
Like,
so people,
I don't know how you manage that.
Yeah. So people have tried. Look. I cover Xbox. I cover Microsoft stuff. Activision's part of Microsoft. I'm not defending Call of Duty for its mishaps and whatever, but this was a dumb move, right? And people have tried to cope and say, oh, it's because of it's an online only thing. However, it's not an online only thing. You can play by yourself. Right, so that doesn't make any sense. The next part is, so when I play Call of Duty campaign, I play on hardcore or higher, depending on what kind it is, because I think Call of Duty is better at a more difficult difficulty.
Veteran, yeah,
veteran's so much fun on certain games. This doesn't have difficulty modes. None.
So is it like reactive? Or
I don't know how it works, but when you play something like an older Assassin's Creed game or a Grand Theft Auto, there's just no difficulties. It's like
yeah, you're just murking people left and right, and it like nothing happens. Yeah.
Well, it gets even better. Since it's a semi-futuristic game, for some reason, so if you play Call of Duty on, let's say, veteran or easy, you can still hit a target in the chest, let's say, twice and they're done. Doesn't matter the difficulty because it's a realistic shooter. In Black Ops 7, you have spongy enemies, and it's all because they have armor. So like, it's not ideal. But my point is that Black Ops 7, it has its problems. There was a lot of forced hate. Big streamers were saying Battlefield's gonna absolutely crush it, but it doesn't have the legs. Call of Duty gets content. Warzone is entertaining to play. They have, I'd say their battle pass tends to be pretty good, but Battlefield, man, the viral success it had at the beginning was never going to survive. Its version of a battle royale was never going to be that big for a long time. And look, they can recover. Multiplayer games have recovered before, but I think in this modern age, they're going to have to be very careful. I want Battlefield to succeed. Like, we need multiple different kinds of games like that. I think there's a big enough market. This is a big problem as well, and the big streamers don't help. They make it seem like you can either only have Call of Duty succeed or Battlefield succeed. The truth is you can have both. Back in its prime, Battlefield was huge with Battlefield 3, but Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3, those were huge games as well. So, like, I don't like the idea of, like, we have to pit one against each other. They're just different, with different experiences. But unfortunately, that just gets more clicks, Oh, Battlefield's killing COD. COD's killing Battlefield. It's like, no, just shut up, But yeah, I thought I'd bring that up because, 93% of your player base, that's a big number. I'll quickly talk about a game that was announced a couple of months ago, but it didn't really have much to show. And I'm sure there's about 2 people listening that'll actually care about this, but I want to mention it because I'm a nerd. Star Trek Voyager game finally got a release date. It's coming out in February. Thank you, Logan, for letting me know. I love Star Trek. I never talk about Star Trek because for some reason Star Trek's been around longer than Star Wars, but I can even tell people that Star Wars is far more mainstream than Star Trek. Star Trek, some people just find it harder to get into. I love Star Trek, more particularly the 90s era Star Trek. But if you're a Star Trek fan, you've came to the conclusion, you've realized that you aren't going to get AAA games. Right? This isn't like Star Wars where you're going to get an action game with a lightsaber or some starships that you can fly around and starfighters. Star Trek just does not get AAA games. It just doesn't. In fact, we have 2 games on Xbox right now that are Star Trek games. And I think one of them's been there's 3, and one's been discontinued. Star Trek Prodigy Supernova, discontinued. That's a children's game, and it's terrible. And yes, I bought it. It's bad. It's bad. I don't like calling games bad, but this is bad. This is the kind of game I assume it's made for 2-year-olds. It's genuinely bad. The next one is Star Trek Resurgence, which is a Telltale style game, which I actually think is really good. And the other one is Star Trek Online, which has to be the worst controls for an MMO on console I've ever experienced. But hey, they give that game content basically every couple of months. And that's been going on for like 12 years now, Star Trek Online. Well, anyway, this new game got announced, and it's a... How can I describe it? You know the base building mechanic from XCOM?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, it's basically the base building mechanic from XCOM, but also with starship controls where you have to fly the ship around space. It's a weird game to like. I have a video with that in it coming out soon, and even I'm struggling to describe it as someone that's looking forward to it. It's a hard game to describe. But anyway, we're getting a Star Trek game. We get Star Wars games all the time compared to Star Trek, but Star Trek we're not doing so good. And if you're a Stargate fan, oof, we get nothing. Logan, are you looking forward to that game at all? I know you're not the biggest Star Trek fan.
Yeah, I'll give it a chance. I like Star Trek and Star Wars as well. Like Star Wars is my favorite, but I do like Star Trek because like I don't know, this might be a random side bit, but like I kind of like for those who are less familiar with them or kind of always like compare them, like Star Wars is more of like a space fantasy epic kind of like fairy tales mixed in space with technology and stuff like that. Like overarching epic. And then, Star Trek is like hardcore, like sci fi tech. And like, it's just kind of they just got completely different vibes and experiences of what they're going for. And I like them both, but they are very different. And people trying to say they're the same are clearly just not paying attention.
Yeah. But when it comes to Star Trek, like we just don't get those games, man. Like if you have a Star Wars game, you can make a game about anything: bounty hunters, Jedi, Sith, racing games, anything, right? When it comes to Star Trek, Star Trek's about Starfleet, right? Like putting this out there, and I want the universe to prove me wrong. I bet there will never be a successful game where you command a Romulan starship. It will never happen. And if it happens, it won't pop off. It will sell like 2 copies, right? Star Trek is known for Starfleet, being a commander of a starship. That's how it's going to be. And that's what Star Trek is. That's why a lot of people don't like the new Star Trek shows, because they deviating from that. And even when they do stick to the starship stuff, just the new stuff's crap. Well, not all the stuff, but like that. Oh, I sent you that poster, didn't I, Logan? The new poster for Star Trek Academy, the TV series.
Oh my gosh! It looked like One Tree Hill meets Star Trek. It
Yeah.
was
Oh my
oof.
god. Right. I was heartbroken when I saw that poster. Like I said,
It's hilariously bad.
yeah, I never talk about
Um,
Star Trek, and this is a gaming podcast, but I want to mention this quickly. So, like, Star Trek: Strange New Worlds gave me hope as a Star Trek fan. I was like, right, they found a format that works with modern television. And then I see a poster for this new show that it's going to be it's going to bring back some older characters. I won't spoil for anyone, but they're going to have some older characters back. It's going to have an interesting story, and it's set in Star Trek Academy. I'm like, cool. And then I see that poster, and it is more One Tree Hill than One Tree Hill, right? And do you know how I know that? Because I watched One Tree Hill. I liked that show, the first 4
hey, it
seasons.
happens, man. I get it.
I know someone, and I'm not going to mention his name. He loved Gilmore Girls.
Hey, I've known people who like Gilmore Girls, Gossip Girls. Like, hey, like everybody's got their guilty pleasure show that they grew up with. So I ain't faulting anybody, man. I hear you.
But having Star Trek do that, I was so heartbroken. Like, Paramount do not know what they're doing with that IP. Back to video games. My God. Do you know what the best thing would be for something like Star Trek? BioWare. Because you have a
If they're around.
yeah, but like just like commanding a starship, going on missions, like that would kind of suit them. Hopefully, they're around long enough to do that. But
Obsidian.
like I
Yeah.
just saw in chat, One Tree Hill was great. There's two of us. The first 4 seasons anyway. And I literally have the box set. uh, that was a gift though.
Did a whole new side of Jamin today.
Yeah. Oh
Good
my god.
stuff.
I never thought, I'm going to tell people I do actually like One Tree Hill, but you only live once. Who cares? But yeah, that's Star Trek. We get no AAA games, but we're getting some smaller ones. But I'll take them. Do you know I'm plagued with the knowledge of like 10, let's say 10 or 11 cancelled Stargate games? Pains me.
And I would have taken one. Like that is such a cool premise of an idea. Like how hard is it to make a game where there's this awesome portal thing, you run through it, and then boom, you show up in this different weird space universe or planet, and you could have different experiences for the different levels. Like it really is not that complicated of a concept.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, Stargate would work better as a video game than Star Trek because you have military
Yeah,
gear.
100% it would.
Yeah, you have military gear, fighting aliens, and literally stepping through a gate would be a loading screen. Like, it's not that hard. Basically, the reason I mention this is because there's a game for the original Xbox that was announced, and I may have the original Xbox magazine still for it. It was a Stargate SG-1, the video game for the original Xbox.
Oh, I love that show.
And this game apparently was completed. Apparently, right? Where it was a first-person shooter like Halo, and depending on which character you played as, the game would play differently. So if you played as Teal'c, you had the staff. If you played as my God, it's been so long since I watched Stargate, I forgot half the characters. But if you played as Michael Shank's character, he had like science gadgets and stuff and whatnot. And it was basically a level-based game like Halo. But they made the game, and as far as I know, they couldn't get a publisher, and the game was scrapped. So, yeah. Stargate fans, I'm so sorry. Because that game looked so good. But yeah, let's continue. Let's see what we've got next. Oh, yeah. The Division. Oh, no. My God, we're so behind. The Prince of Persia game that was announced 5 years ago. A remake of the original Xbox game. Well, it turns out it's finally coming. There's been a bunch of leaks over the past week. It looks like Ubisoft may either shadow drop this or announce it and then release it within like a week. Apparently, it's going to be $60. There's going to be multiple versions, a deluxe edition with skins and stuff. But this game has been through like four different developers, and apparently they don't want to put any money into marketing because it's been such a what's that saying? Money pit? Yeah, money pit.
Oh yeah, cost sink big time.
Yeah. And so they just want to get the game out the door. And as myself and Logan know, when they showed off that game originally 4 years ago, it wasn't exactly the nicest looking game.
It looked worse than the OG Xbox version. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, it was bad. But it's finally coming. My assumption is it's going to be announced during either a PlayStation State of Play or a Nintendo Direct. Because Ubisoft hasn't had their own show for about 2 years. It might actually be more than 2 years. And yeah, Ubisoft, they're not going to put any money into this. Ubisoft's having a lot of issues when it comes to finance at the minute. This game will be announced and released within a week. So, hey, I'm looking forward to it. I like Prince of Persia as an IP. But, man, the last time we had a new game was, I think it was Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time. Oh, sorry, The Forgotten Sands. And that was a late 360 title. It's actually a good game. Logan, what do you think? Because we've been waiting for this game for years, and it looks like it's finally happening soon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Like, not gonna lie, 60 is a no-go for me on that title.
Definitely.
Like, that is a hard pass, brother. Gonna wait on a big sale. But I'm looking forward to it. I hope it is good after it's been in development hell for like half decade now. And uh we've had the Metroidvania kind of Prince of Persia game that was really good. That didn't sell great, but was really good. And then that kind of roguelite one that came out recently.
Oh yeah.
But I really hope that we get a return to this style because I love these, and I might be one of like a dozen people, but I loved that cell shaded one. Like I really, really enjoyed that Prince of Persia as well. So I just hope they go back to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like the price was the big thing, like you said. When I saw $60, I was like, this isn't gonna do good. Like, for most people listening, if you haven't seen it, the last time we saw it, it looked worse than an original Xbox game. Like, it was rough. It's been passed to I think 2 different studios after that, and yeah, we don't know the state of it. Like hell, it's been rebooted and remade so many times that the last Ubisoft showcase they had a CGI trailer of like the hourglass, or the knife with the sand in it, the sand of time or whatever. And it wasn't the most hype thing in the world, you know. But hey, I want that IP to come back big. Hopefully we do. But yeah, that's that. On with the Ubisoft thing. We still have one more Ubisoft thing quickly. We're about now into the show. If you're enjoying it, please hit like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these little ads, but it really helps the channel grow and also the podcast grow. If you want anything answered via Super Chats, it's greatly appreciated, and the money goes back into the channel. Anyway, let's see what we've got next. Okay, so The Division is getting a definitive edition. It looks like it's going to be announced soon because the poster was leaked at a Japanese game event. And yeah, Division 3 is also in development at the minute over at Massive Entertainment. They also made Star Wars Outlaws and Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. They say they have big things cooking for that game. I'm sure it's going to be good. But the definitive edition is an interesting one because Division was big when it came out. Division 2 still gets content. I assume it's just going to be 4K 60, extra skins, maybe some new missions. Ubisoft does have a habit of updating their games long term, so maybe we have new content. Logan, does a Division Definitive Edition even entertain you at all?
Not really, no.
Yeah.
I hope it does well because I like the idea of more of these games out there that are succeeding and competing and taking a little bit away from Fortnite and some of this other stuff to where maybe just maybe some kernel of creativity can thrive and flourish. It's not my thing, but I hope it does well.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've talked about this before. My experience with The Division was I was in the closed alpha, and then I was in the open alpha. I was in the closed beta, and then I was in the open beta. And right before the game came out, I was like, I just can't do this anymore. I played the opening 6 hours of the game 4 times. So it's my fault, by the way. It's no one else's. It's not the game's. But like, I burnt myself out on that content. I was like, I cannot do this. I just can't. In fact, the only time I got back to The Division is when we got a copy for Xbox Live Gold one time. And, it got its 4K 1X enhancement, and then it got a 60 FPS boost with the Series X. So, like, I literally fired up The Division 1, walked around, did one mission, turned it off, deleted it. That's it. Maybe I'll give it a go at some point, but, I mean, look, especially with things like Arc Raiders out at the minute, I don't know if I'll make the time. But, hey, it's going to be there for people, and I'm sure it's going to look good. Now, this is going to be a fun one because it's actually going to be affecting Xbox in the future as well, and that's the Steam machines. So the Steam machines, the Steam machine, we've known about it for a while. We know what it looks like. It's basically a GameCube, and the price is leaked about 3 days ago. This is going to be fun. And apparently it's going to be $900+ for the I think it's 512 gigabyte model, and it's going to be I think $1,100 for the 2 terabyte model. look, I cover consoles, I cover tech, such as like game engines and stuff. Right, when it comes to PC hardware, I don't really have a clue. Right, I follow console stuff. Uh, I think the Steam machine looks fantastic. I think it's going to be a good way for people that maybe want to get into PC gaming, because you don't have to do anything to it. You just buy it day one. So I think as a standalone PC, I think it's going to be a good pickup for people. But I think when people were looking at that, thinking, oh, it's going to be a Steam console, they were thinking a console price. And for a lot of people, and thank God we do this still, people still think console price means $500. Unfortunately, it's not that. The error of the thing is, these things cost more in price because of the RAM thing, right? The Rampocalypse, which I called it. I deemed it that, by the way. The Rampocalypse is happening, and everything's going up in price. And Steam have these two PCs or one PC coming out this year, and that price is a bit much. Like, yeah, so we don't know the official price, but I'm just going off the leak. We're just going to talk about it quickly. Like, Logan, if those are the prices, what do you think? Because I don't think a Steam machine really is something you want, right? But like, what do you think of the price?
Honestly, I think it's fair for what it is because, like, but I'm somebody who knows what it is. Like, it is you know, a under your TV type PC experience that is also kind of more streamlined like a console to where I mean, the Gabe Cube w- looks like a great device. Steam has a killer library, features Steam is a wonderful experience. I've been building my Steam library with the ROG Ally X and my GOG library as well. So, they obviously have a ton of stuff you can play, and being able to play that right under your TV, kind of like a traditional console, is appealing. But for the vast majority of folks who just think of it as like a traditional console or think it's supposed to be intended as such or marketed as such, I could get sticker shock for that. Because when I think Xbox console or like PS6 or something, I have a price range in my head that makes sense. And so, like, if you tell me, oh, this is a console and we're going to sell it for $1,100, I'm like, you're high as a kite if you think people are going to buy that for $1,100 as a quote console. But, if you know up front, like, this is a PC like thing and it's, Steam focused, it's basically like a gaming PC, but with a form factor like a console, with a under TV accessibility like a console for, like a more kind of happy medium, then
Yeah,
I think the price makes sense. But I think for the casual audience, high price. But for the people who know what it is, I think it's fair.
yeah. I mean, look, I I see the price of most things these days and think, wow, that shouldn't cost that much. And
Mhm.
another thing I think that is when I see the US price of things, basically, if something costs $100, companies will just list something as £100, and like we get
Mhm.
absolutely screwed over, you know. So like, if the price is low in the US, they'll give us for a lower price as well. Um, like, look, when the game price stuff is mentioned, like developers, or I should say publishers, they will slap in $90. Like if a game is $90 in the future, they'll slap £90 on the box, right? Which will be what, £120, right? Because they can, right? So I want everything to
Ooh.
be as cheap as possible in dollars for our sake. And if you live in Australia and Canada, it's the same thing. You get absolutely screwed, you know. Um, but hey, I guess we'll find out soon because I think it's meant to be coming out in March, and hopefully maybe we'll see the Half-Life 3 thing because part of me wants the Half-Life 3 to be announced just so we can stop talking about it. But the other part is like I really want to see what this game's like. Um, we should find out in the next 2 months. Now, on with the price stuff, and this is where I was talking about earlier in the show why my blood's boiling, and it's not really a bad thing. Depends on how you look at it. So about 2 days ago, I put out a tweet listing how every game that popped off last year wasn't full price. Right? I said, dear developers, notice how every game that popped off last year, or most games that popped off last year, was a lower price game. You had Hollow Knight Silksong, $20. Expedition 33, $40. Oblivion, $40. You had Arc Raiders, $40. Mafia of the Old Country, $50. So these games were costing less and getting more attention, right? And I didn't really think anything of it, right? Did not think anything of it. Fast forward one day. This post had almost 1 million views.
A lot of opinions, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wow, 20,000 likes. A lot of my tweets have been popping off over the past couple of months when it comes to my opinions. Some people don't like them, but it's the replies number that you should always pay attention to. 380 plus replies. I was like, okay, here we go. My God, the first thing I do is when I look at my replies, I reply to people and like people's replies by mutuals or people that I know that follow me or whatever. I interact with my posts all the time. But man, the amount of angry people that were just angry for the sake of angry, it blew my mind. Because all I said was, these games cost less and they did well. That's essentially it, right? And the amount of people that were sticking up for game prices blew my mind. People were one guy replied to me saying, "Oh, if you want to pay less for games, you should be into a different hobby." Bear in mind, this person said this, I want to pay $70, $80, $90 for a video game, right? And I replied to this person with something I can't say on YouTube. Take from that what you will.
I get the idea. Yeah.
It may involve some sort of chair. I'll just say that. But my point was I will always people can call me a Microsoft fanboy all they want, right? I will always stick up for people's wallets, right? That's why I always post about game sales on Twitter, right? That's why I always let people know if there's a good deal, because I want people to get the most out of their own money, not the companies, and that's that. But the amount of people that were sticking up because they were all using it as this coping mechanism to try and justify to themselves that, oh yeah, and bear in mind, my post had nothing to do with Grand Theft Auto. People were making this post about Grand Theft Auto because they know Take-Two is going to raise the price of video games to $80 minimum. And then you have someone that worked on Apex Legends say, you know what, this game deserves to be $80. And that's when I lost my marbles. I was like, I'm not having this, not on my watch, right? What do you mean, deserves? You haven't played it. For all we know, GTA 6 could come out, the buggiest game ever. It might not even be good. The chances are it will be good, but we don't know for a fact it will be. And people are just using these different made-up arguments and coping mechanisms to try and prove me wrong so they can justify themselves spending $80+ on a video game that won't come with any statue or anything like that. Right? It's crazy. And I was going through all these replies and people were saying I'm wrong, even though I was right. And it just blew my mind. Look, people like to argue on social media just to argue. Like today, I was accused of never have played Anthem before because I said I enjoyed the combat. This person wanted proof that I played Anthem, right? I didn't reply to this person because I'm not going to waste my time. It's like playing tennis with a wall or talking to a wall. It's useless. But the amount of people that get angry over nothing, we should be for our own wallets, but we defending companies that want to charge us more for video games. And I replied to someone else saying, look, if Rockstar raises their games to 80 or 90 or anything, right, all these other companies are going to start doing the same thing, right? I know everyone in chat right now thinks the exact same thing, but you have the people that, how should I put it? The big kind of streamer people, I won't mention names, the big kind of streamer people that
They're simps. They're company simps.
Yeah.
That's what they are.
And you have these big streamers that will say like, oh, I'm going to put thousands of hours into this so I can justify the price. But that's not the problem. The problem is that every AAA developer will start doing it, right? It doesn't matter if it's 10 hours long or 5,000 hours long, right? Games aren't priced based on the amount of hours played, right? I know for a fact my mother plays a free-to-play game that's been around for about 15 years. She hasn't paid a penny, right? Right? For the amount of hours she put into it, that game could have cost about 10 grand, right? So like we can't equate hours to price. I think that's always been a weird argument. But like the people that were just saying, oh, I'm willing to pay this much, I want to pay this much, it's like, stop it, right? Will GTA probably cost more money? Yes, but I don't think games are worth $70. I think games should be 60 maximum, ideally 50, because when the games went up to $70, now more than ever, I notice people say, you know what, I think I'll wait for a little sale, because games drop in price a couple of weeks after launch. So why not wait a couple of weeks till after launch? Unless you make content for a video game centric channel or streaming, right? Technically, you don't need to buy any game day one, right? And the problem with that is that these companies, they base their future projects based on the first, let's say, couple of weeks on sales, right? It's
That's such short-sighted.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Netflix model, right? And I've mentioned this before. I don't know if I've told you, Logan, but do you know Netflix had this whole cinematic universe planned out called Jupiter's Legacy, right? They were going to start off with a TV show, a live-action TV show, a superhero show that was gritty, kind of like The Boys, but not as not as bleak. But they were going to kick off the cinematic universe with this TV show. They were going to have animated shows, animated movies, live action movies, right? Video games, right? They were going to do the whole MCU based on Jupiter's Legacy IP, right? And then because the first week didn't have the numbers they wanted of streaming numbers, they axed the entire cinematic universe, right? Most people don't know what I've just said is a thing, but that's how a lot of video game companies work. So, like, you can have a video game come out, do okay to good, and publishers will look at that and think, we can't justify a sequel. So they'll maybe pull less people, they'll put less people on future content, and they'll cancel a sequel. Yet over long term, it might do insane numbers. I'll give you a good example. Mad Max, the video game, came out the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5. One of the worst decisions a company has ever made for a release date. But over time, it's been popping up top on the Xbox Store. I think it's been the same on PlayStation and on Steam, right? Over a long time, that game has gained a lot of sales. I bet the sales of that game's in the double digits of millions. But we will never see a sequel to it because of the whole long-term ramifications of how these companies view numbers, right? So that's where I'm going with this. So, like, not buying a game day one also hurts the future potential. So it's this weird, it's a snake eating its own tail, right? It's the crappy circle of life. And it's a shame it's this way as well. But my thought is, again, we shouldn't be wanting to pay more for video games. It will it'll set a bad precedent. We shouldn't want to pay more anything. I never hear anyone go, I want to pay more for Netflix. I want to pay more for cinema tickets. You know those eggs across the street? I want to pay more for them too. No, nobody's ever said that stuff. Right? No one, ever. And if they did, they'd probably get slapped. But that's where I'm going with this. Just the GTA stuff, it really annoys me because people want to cope themselves into thinking it's a good idea. It's not a good idea. It won't save the industry. There's not going to be this massive resurgence in funding in video games because one game costs more all of a sudden. Logan, what's your take? I've been talking for 10 minutes, but people are justifying themselves already, and the game doesn't even have a price listed.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are pretty aligned on this. Like, I don't think the game should cost as much as it probably is going to. And like I'll be just completely honest, like most games I don't buy day one anymore. Like I wait until a sale on things on most titles. There are a few that like if I've been particularly looking forward to it for a long time, like straight up Fate of the Old Republic, whenever that comes out, I will buy that one day one. Just straight up. I've been waiting 20 plus years for Knights of the Old Republic 3. I am getting that day one. But like there for the most part, I don't buy things day one.
Yeah.
I with exceptions, I wait for a sale or a pretty heavy sale. And, same with lots of other tech, like, wait till a year-end closeout sale for a brand new 4K TV
Oh
or,
yeah.
cars or whatever. I mean, this is a little life hack, but, like, you get crazy deals when you wait just a bit, and then you save so much money that you can use towards other stuff, and, like, so much of the stuff that the price that goes into some of these stuff is just overhead and just fluff that, like when it gets to the nitty gritty of it, it should be way less than what you actually are being charged for a bunch of this stuff. And so, like, I like to consider myself a consumer purveyor of the finer things in life, but like, I also like to save money at the same time. Like, if I can get the same thing for less and it's not sketchy and it's legitimate and it's good and I can save money and be able to use that money towards something else, heck yeah. Like that's just being smart and thrifty with your money and smart about how you manage stuff. That's not being cheap. Being cheap is people who just refuse to buy anything or like only want like of stuff and like this or that, like it's just a completely different thing. So like when people try to go after you or other people about being cheap or something about not wanting to pay more for games, I'm like, buddy, these games were $60 for a long time. They've been these prices for a long time. And then just because Sony wanted to bump it up $10 and then Nintendo bumped it up another $10. Like we don't need to keep this circle going. Like they're I don't know, kind of like in sports, like I feel like a salary cap, but like something for these game prices because eventually it's going to get to a point where it's like, yeah, I'll see you like next year for some of these games because it's just it's ridiculous and people trying to, call out folks for being cheap or stuff are like completely out of sight, out of mind and not in touch with reality and are just angry mongers on Twitter.
Yeah. Look, I'll never understand the wanting to pay more thing. It's bizarre, right?
Like you said, for eggs, you don't go into the store and go, you know what? This is the same bread and this is the same bread, same brand and everything. But for some reason, this one is on a promotion because it's a smaller slice of bread or package versus or flavor versus this one. And then it's like, you know what? No, I'm going to make sure I get the other this because it costs more and it's the same exact thing. Like brand allegiance aside, it's like that. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you know what? I'll use an example. I'll explain it to you. And more, I know most of the people in chat aren't from the UK, so you might get a kick out of this. So in the UK, a lot of people judge what the economy is like based on the price of a certain chocolate frog.
Okay, we kind of do that for like milk and bread here. So yeah, I get you.
So there's these little chocolate frogs called Freddos, right? Made by Cadbury's. And depending on the time of year or what the economy is like or how far in time it is, the price of this little chocolate frog costs more or less, right? So, for instance, they used to be 30p when I was a kid. I think they were about 30 pence, right? And now they're like 80p where I live, right? Now, 80p isn't
Ooh.
80p isn't a lot of money, right? But people look at that and think, "Ooh, like, this is a bit much, right? Of all things, not RAM, right? Not televisions or consoles. Like, people look at the price of this chocolate frog, Freddo, and if it costs, like there's people have told me that, oh, when they were little, it cost 15p, right? And by the way, over time, that frog has gotten smaller. Everyone likes Freddo chocolate frogs. But yeah, I just want to use that analogy because I know for a fact most people listening right now aren't from the UK. But yeah, so if you ever hear a British person mention chocolate frogs in the economy, now you know why. But yeah, wanting to pay more is just stupid. Now on to something positive, and we can finally put this to rest. After all this time, we'll keep this brief. After all this time, yeah, Freddo tax. I forgot the term. Freddo tax. Oh god,
The Freddo tax.
yeah,
that's great.
Is,
I like that.
It's just plain Cadbury's chocolate in the shape of a frog wearing a little suit. That's all it is. Oh yeah, they used to be 10p. Wow. See, now I want Freddos, and two, I'm wondering why they cost 80 pence.
Does he at least look distinguished with his suit? I've never seen these chocolates before, so
I'd say it's a very distinguished frog. It's just a it's a chocolate frog in some clothes, but
he's very posh.
Yes. Oh yeah, very posh. But finally, after 66,000 years, Final Fantasy VII Remake launches on Xbox next week. Finally. My God. We've been waiting years, eons, right? And it just never happened. Like Logan said earlier in the show, that game was originally announced 11 years ago. Crazy. But it's almost here, which is great. I think it. Look. I've talked about this game a lot over the past God knows how many years. When I did the channel reboot, I'm doing air quotes, in 2019, one of those videos I put out was, Final Fantasy VII Remake coming to Xbox, ? It's because I found a store listing. That's the short of it, anyway. But yeah, it's coming out soon. It comes out on the 22nd of January. And I will say this. If you have the chance, if you have the means, please play Crisis Core beforehand. Crisis Core Reunion is so good. It's like a 20-hour JRPG. If you want to do the side quests, it's like, or should I say optional quests, it's more like a 30, 35-hour game. But I'll say 20. I did it in 18 hours. I played it on normal. But my God, it's almost here. Finally. And I've got a smile on my face because literally, I think I've used a Final Fantasy VII character as a thumbnail for a podcast about 50 times. I'm running out of images of Cloud and Tifa. What a problem to have. But yeah, it's almost there.
How many rage comments I had from that game?
So say that again?
I was saying, how many rage posts have you had from folks over those images over the years?
Oh, lots. Right? If I've posted, if we've done a podcast and the thumbnail image is, Cloud or Tifa, people get angry. If I've posted an image of like Cloud holding an Xbox controller in the past, people got really angry. I posted an image like 3 years ago of Tifa holding an Xbox controller. People lost their marbles. it was amazing. But like, it's not even harmful or anything. Like saying more people want to play this game, more people will. And by the way, before I move on to the other topics and I get Logan's thought, whenever anyone says Xbox guys don't want Final Fantasy games, I'm going to give you a little factoid that most people don't realize. Do you know that when that comes out on Xbox, you'll be able to play every single numbered Final Fantasy game on Xbox? Every single one, right? Outside of 11, and that's the old MMO from the 2000s, which I don't think anyone cares about, but you can play every single one. However, there's only been 2 Final Fantasy games, 2 mainline fantasy games, launch on Xbox the same day as other platforms. One of which was extremely divisive. That's Final Fantasy 13. I liked Final Fantasy 13. And Final Fantasy 15, which was extremely divisive as well, which I also like Final Fantasy 15. So people are basing all of that opinion, all of that FUD, based on that one little fact. 2 games. That's it. Not dozens, not 5, not 10. 2. 2 games. But anyway, Logan, the game's almost here. It's finding out next week. And for people that don't know, if you pre-order it, you actually get the copy of the original version as well. And the original version's great. But Logan, the game's almost here. What do you think? We can finally stop predicting when it's going to come out.
I'm so excited, man. Like, I've been waiting for this for a very, very long time. Like, I remember when they did Sony as a stick joke, did a PS3 tech demo
Oh, yeah, I remember
with
that.
Final Fantasy VII, and everybody got lost their minds and thought that looked incredible. And they're like, "Oh, we just did that to show you what we could do." LOL, but we're not doing it. And everybody was so mad. And like I've been waiting since then for an upgrade to Final Fantasy VII, one of the best games ever made. And so finally getting able to get intergrade version, and then part 2 within a year as well after waiting 11 years since its original announcement. Man, it's a dream come true. We've come from a snowball's chance to it's here within 2 weeks is
Yep.
just wild, and I cannot wait, my friend. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And look, people have replied to me saying, "But why would you wait 5 years?" It's like, no, I always thought the concept of a third party game being exclusive, especially of such a big game IP like that, it's kind of dumb, right? Final Fantasy
Yeah,
started
it
on Nintendo.
works.
Yeah, like Final Fantasy started on Nintendo, then it went to PlayStation, and like it is what it is. Like hell, Final Fantasy 13 was originally shown off during the Xbox E3 showcase. By the way, people on NeoGAF at the time lost their minds. The page is still up if anyone ever wants to read it. But like, there are JRPG fans on Xbox. The unfortunate truth is that we don't have the big ones launch day one the same time as other platforms, and it's harder for a fan base to become fans of a game when one, they put on the console later, and two, they don't get any marketing. A good example is Kingdom Hearts. The first Kingdom Hearts game that came to Xbox was 3. 3. Do you need a bachelor's degree to figure out the story of Kingdom Hearts?
Right? Oh, it is complicated, like PhD ridiculous.
Yeah, ridiculous. And the first game we got was 3. We did get the collection 2 years later, I believe. But man, come on. Like, if they were ever gonna base the future of Kingdom Hearts releases based on that, it would be the dumbest thing ever. But Square Enix, they have been making good decisions lately. But hey, the game's almost here. Can't wait for people to experience that story. And look, I've only played the original. I played the demo, and for people that don't know, if you play the demo of the 7 remake, you get some cool little items for when the game comes out, and you can also transfer your progress. The game is also play anywhere, but if I remember correctly, the original version of Final Fantasy that you get the code for is not play anywhere. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. Although it is on the Windows Store, which is weird. But hey, why does everything come late to Xbox? Well, there's a good reason for that. Timed exclusivity. Companies pay to keep games off other platforms. It's a tactic a lot of companies use, and it just happens. Nothing you can do about it. Some games come to Xbox late because of, console priority. Look at Dispatch, right? Dispatch, huge game, PC and PlayStation. It's coming to Switch soon, and I assume it's going to be on Xbox by May, right? The truth is, that game, there was no paid exclusivity. The studio is tiny, and they almost went bankrupt. So there are these reasons. You just move on with the rest of your day. I've had plenty of games to play these past 5 years, It's not that I've been sitting here shaking my fist at the clouds saying, where's my Final Fantasy? No, it'll come eventually. It'll happen, But hey, and by the way, I played it on performance mode. It looks amazing, plays amazing. Funny thing is, I've kept away from seeing footage for so much time. I had no idea you could switch characters during combat. No idea. So playing as Barrett during the mission, the Mako mission, I was like, oh, that is so cool. But I had no idea. It's a good game, and it's going to be a lot of people's first Final Fantasy game. And what a story to experience that with. We're probably going to see Rebirth, and I'm just assuming September to October. And Part 3 is probably going to come out late next year. But hey, more Final Fantasy for everyone. Why not? Let's see what we got next. Oh my god, we've still got like half the topics left. Okay, so the Xbox Developer Direct is also next week, and it should be a pretty big show. They're going to be showing off Forza Horizon 6. They're also going to be showing off Fable and... oh god, what third-party game was it? Oh yeah, Beast of Reincarnation. It's a new game by the Pokemon developer Game Freak, and wow, they can really make a pretty game when they have the time. I've seen it in action for quite a bit. It looks really good. I think that's a good lineup. There are rumors that there's going to be a fourth game there. If I remember correctly, the past 2 developer directs Microsoft's had, they've done secret games. So, look, it looks like it's going to be a good showcase. I can't wait to see Fable in action. Forza, look, playground games knock it out of the park every single time. This is going to be Japan, though. That's going to be special. People have been wanting Japan since the original Forza Horizon game. And it's not just going to be, how should I put it, nature areas in Forza Horizon. You're going to have, Neon City, Tokyo-style areas. I'm guessing they're going to have to change how... Maybe I've watched too many Japanese racing films, or maybe too much Tokyo Drift. But you'd think for a city-style racing type thing, you would think that they would have to change the drifting mechanics in a Forza game. Maybe I'm reaching a bit too much. But hey, that game's going to be special. Fable. We technically don't know anything about Fable, really. We know what it looks like. We know that there's going to be ranged combat and close quarters combat. But we haven't seen magic in action at all. We don't know the plot, not really. So that'll be exciting. And the most interesting part is release dates. Microsoft's year roadmap so far consists of 5 games. Call of Duty, they have Gears of War E-Day, Fable, and Forza Horizon 6. We don't know the release dates for any of them. I assume that they're going to be keeping away from GTA's release date. But Microsoft tend to have games announced the year they release. So it should be a good year. Logan, what do you think of the whole Developer Direct coming up? Is there anything you want to see from those games or whatnot?
Yeah, I'm super stoked. Fable was one of the pillar games of the original Xbox to me. Knights of the Old Republic, Jedi Academy, Fable, Ninja Gaiden, those were Jade Empire. Those were franchises, big titles that really Xbox. And so I'm really excited to revisit the franchise. The second one is still my favorite of the Fable trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
Fable 3 was good. I think it's better than people make it sound, but 2 was better. So I'm excited to see what they do with it. I really hope it is truly witchery, but with humory as well,
Yeah.
and kind of a nice marriage where you don't want to go too dark down the Game of Thrones kind of path because that's just not what Fable is. But you also don't need everything to be, fart jokes and thrusts and kicking chickens either. There's a way to balance things, and I think they can find a happy medium. So I'm looking forward to it. I really want to see what combat's like. If there's character customization or not is a major that's not a huge issue to me personally, but I know it's a major thing that the community wants to know. Are we a just a template like male, female, hero, heroine, and you just have a certain look and that's that, and it changes if you're good or bad, or is it like fully customizable? Like that matters to people, so I'm curious to see how that goes. And I want to see the story. Is it just a traditional, oh, you're a kid and somebody attacked your village and now you grow up to be a hero in this academy, or like where they take the story? But that one is going to be huge. Cannot wait for that one. Beast of Reincarnation or Incarnation looks awesome. Like I love Game Freak. You and I both grew up with original Pokemon on, Game Boy. So I a long time coming for me to try a game from them that's not Pokemon, and this looks really cool. So I'm excited and as for Forza Horizon 6, like if there's not a skyline, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Like there better be a skyline in this presentation. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. With the secret games, I know Jez Corden of Windows Central strongly teased that Kiln from Double Fine will be there, which for those who don't know, a kiln is like a potter's oven to like bake clay and make pottery and things like that with. And apparently the game itself is kind of like a brawler party game adventure thing where you bake your characters and like you customize them and stuff instead of like little Lego figures,
Oh
you're
yeah.
little clay people. And apparently like the movement and abilities and stuff is very human fall flat, or like semi reliable delivery service, kind of where you're like floppy, whimsy, kind of goofy. So I'm curious to see how it is. I like Double Fine. They make unique stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's another little tiny fifth game too. Like sometimes at one of the directs, I think there was 5 games. Like there was there's a fourth secret game, and then they had that shadow drop of, I believe, Ninja Gaiden Black 2 or
Yeah.
something like that last year. So I kind of wouldn't be surprised if we have that, but looking forward to it.
Yeah. So the Xbox Developer Direct, I think, is next Thursday. I believe it's next Thursday. Actually, you know what? I've got the web page open right now. Let me have a look. And of course, my mouse stopped working. Okay, here we go. So the Xbox Developer Direct is. Of course, the website doesn't work. The website crashed. I think it's next Thursday, but it should be a good show. And look, I think that if you've been looking forward to Fable for a long time, we're finally going to see it in action. Oh yeah, January 22nd, and it's going to be 11. Sorry, oh yeah, 1 p.m. ET. So that should be fun. Anyway, I think that if you've been looking forward towards Fable for a long time, this is going to be sure to watch. Funny thing about Fable, I've been noticing over the past couple of years, there's this weird Mandela effect when it comes to gaming and Fable. Everyone just remembers the fact that, or a fact that they can customize the character in Fable games. You've never been able to do that. I think it's like millions of people think this. Like every post I make about Fable is always like, I hope I can make my or customize my character like I could in the other ones, or make my character. The only way you could customize your character in Fable 2, we'll use Fable 2 as an example. You had a preset character, boy or girl, and you could change things like clothes, hairstyles, right? You couldn't customize your character.
Tattoos, yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people forget. Like, whenever I post like clips, people have a problem with that actress, right? I don't see the problem with her, right? In the first trailer, she looked a bit rough, but that was an early footage. Last trailer we got, she looked fantastic. I just don't care, you know. But literally in the other games, you could choose male or female, hairstyles, clothes. That's it. That was literally it. But yeah, that is the Mandela effect in gaming. Fable has never had a character creator. And speaking of RPGs, we'll mention this quickly because the show's getting long. We still have like 8 topics. My God, The Witcher 3, right? So The Witcher 3 came out, I think it was 2015. Blew people's minds. It's one of the best games ever made. CD Projekt
11 years ago? Man.
Yeah. By the way, isn't it awful how these years sound now? Like,
Yeah, I still think COVID was like 2 years ago.
yeah,
It blows my mind how long ago that's been.
that's the thing. Everyone feels that way. Oh, like, COVID was last year. No, that was 6 years ago. Help!
It's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. But like The Witcher, like they moved on from that ages ago. But that game technically got a lot of support. It had free DLC, it got 2 premium expansions, it got its Xbox One X enhancement, it got its Xbox Series version, which looks amazing. They put out a Switch One version, but that's that. They moved on to Cyberpunk 2077. They're now making Cyberpunk sequel. They're making The Witcher 4, and they're making several other games at the same time. Well, anyway, an analyst, it's either an analyst or some investor from Poland, basically found out about a year ago that there's going to be a new expansion, and then they went quiet. And this person came out again last week and said, it's happening this year. And apparently it's happening to appease the shareholders so they can get their bonuses. Now, people kind of got angry first, but the reason why we have any of these games is because of money, right? So I don't see it as a bad thing, GTA doesn't exist so we have Sunshine and Rainbows. It's because the company wants money. Same with everything else. So the reason doesn't bother me. But the fact that we could be getting a Witcher expansion 11 years later, I'll take it. I will take it. And for people that haven't played The Witcher 3 on Series X, I assume it's the same on PlayStation 5, but that next-gen version looks unreal. Like, it looks incredible. Like, they put in some extra settings so you can change how the camera works. So for people that have played The Witcher 3, the camera's far back from the character, and it zooms out further when you fight people. Well, you can change it so it's like full-on third-person over the shoulder, like how other third-person games are, and you can even fight in that way as well. So you can't see who's behind you. You have to be very cautious. But the visuals are ridiculous. Like, ridiculous. The fact that we have that looking that way on a console. But it looks like we could be getting an expansion this year. My theory is that it's going to be summer. Or it might come out for its 11th anniversary. But man, I can't wait for this, Logan. I know you like The Witcher 3 as well. What's your opinion? Because like, it is weird to get an expansion 11 years later, but who cares what it's for? It could be a big one.
Excited for it. Like, The Witcher 3 is one of the best games ever made.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for more expansion. The expansions were phenomenal for that game as well. So if you get another one the same quality as those others, yeah, absolutely count me in. And to me, I think another reason, like maybe not given, but reason for making it is since they are making a Witcher 4 now, like you could make a new expansion that maybe helps tie the narratives or future proof some of the stuff
Oh yeah.
in Witcher 3 to make more sense with Witcher 4 going, in my opinion, be a reason to make another expansion.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, nail on the head there. Like, they could be bringing out a new expansion for the new game, but like for whatever reason it is or whatever plot, I saw one leak. I'm doing air quotes. I don't know if it's real or not. The expansion I do think's happening. It's just this next thing I don't know if it's real. Apparently, the expansion will take place in a desert setting. I don't know.
Okay.
If it is cool, I like Dune. I'm perfectly fine with that. Although, tangent, I hope I never have to set foot on a desert planet in a Star Wars game ever again. My God,
Oh man, you're tired of Tatooine?
Tatooine, like any like sandy based map, like yes, I hate sand. Gets everywhere. But my God, no more. But hey, for Witcher, why not? But yeah, it looks like that's happening. I'm guessing it's going to be a summer-ish release. CD Projekt Red can keep things quiet, so it wouldn't surprise me. But hey, that should be cool. Let's see what we've got next. My God, still a lot. Okay, a new Elite controller is apparently coming this year. Um, I'll keep this short and sweet. Look, the current Elite controller doesn't have a share button. It obviously came out before we had a share button. So obviously, screenshot button, things like Hall effect sticks, I think are the most important thing, right? Uh, Controllers can get stick drift so easily. You can drop a controller and it gets stick drift straight away. That's how I've had it every single time. And yes, that is my fault. Human error, if you will. But I think that, stuff like gyro support, I think gyro support is like wanted by a lot of people because one, it's a good accessibility option, and two, it's just another way to play games. But I think a lot of people will like that, and people have been asking for an Elite 3 for years. That's my take on it. Logan, what do you think? Are you interested in an Elite 3, and what do you think it'll have?
Um, I'm a little interested. Like, I really enjoyed my Elite 2 until it started to fall apart, like at the seams, literally, like the handles of the controller like separating. So I've moved on to some of my other Xbox controllers, but if they make it more durable and more, fundamentally sound, I'd be interested in one.
Yeah. I'm currently happy.
Especially if you can customize it.
Oh yeah, like I'm currently happy with the haptics that are in the controller right now. Like the rumble, those are haptics. Like the triggers, the rumble triggers, impulse triggers they called. Like those haptics, I perfectly like. I just want gyro and Hall effect sticks. I think they call TMR sticks. That's all I want. That's basically it. And I might be in the minority for this. So I have a mouse that lets me put weights in. I would like a heavier controller. I don't think the controllers light that we have now, but I just prefer heavier mice, heavier controllers. So like if I could like change the weights in them, because some mice you can actually put like different weights in different parts of the mouse. I'd like that for a controller. It's not a deal breaker for me. I just think it would be cool. But yeah, that's the controller. Let's see what we got next. Oh yeah, Wolfenstein 3. So I want to talk about this because it's obviously going to be a big release. This what I'm about to say has nothing to do with what Jez Corden's article or what he posted about. It's because they've kind of been hinting about this for a while. They put out their anniversary picture not long ago, showing the different games they've made in the past. They went from Wolfenstein, Indiana Jones, and the image was kind of, I'd say, inferring Wolfenstein was next. They had huge success with Indiana Jones. People loved it. I loved it. And Wolfenstein, like, if you played the new Colossus, you know that the story was going a certain direction with certain people, I won't say. That story needs an ending. So I think that would be, it's like the developer said they still have stories to tell, and he didn't actually say no. So, like, to me, when you have a studio as big as Machine Games, you're making multiple games at the same time, right? So, I think we could actually see Wolfenstein 3 in the next year, right? But hey, that's just my opinion. Logan, I know you picked up on the whole like Wolfenstein thing in the past. Like, do you think we're going to see Wolfenstein 3 anytime soon, despite the fact it's only been teased regularly lately?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something Wolfenstein drop within the next year, especially with Amazon going all in on Bethesda franchises and making a series based off Wolfenstein now. So I think with the success of Fallout being at the forefront, you've picked up a series for Wolfenstein now. You did a great job with Indiana Jones to show, your range and like you can handle even more narrative responsibility and grander scale type experiences compared to the Wolfenstein experiences.
Yeah.
They can I wouldn't be surprised if they've been slowly cooking on this for a little while. Like where they've had a kind of a smaller team do this, or they kind of had this on the side. Like, well, they'll do Indiana Jones for a while, and then when there's a break in content, they go back to Wolfenstein for a little bit, and then go back to the next update on something else. Like you, I think they have multiple teams, and I think Wolfenstein 3 is one of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, do you know what's funny about Indiana Jones that nobody really talks about? You have one of the best first-person shooter developers in the world, right? There's parts in Wolfenstein: The New Colossus where you can dual-wield sniper rifles, and you might be thinking, well, wouldn't that be useless? Oh, no, no. When you're running down a tight corridor when there's like 10 enemies in front of you, you're tearing through them. It's amazing. And it's a power trip, right? So, like, that's what's great about that. But Indiana Jones, you playing as Indiana Jones, who, if you watch the movies, right, you only see him use a pistol one time. Like, that entire trilogy, he uses a pistol once. That's it. And that's that scene everyone remembers where there's the guy with the sword and he shoots him. That's the only scene in
He's like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, that's the only scene in the entire trilogy where he uses a gun. So, like, when they were coming out with Wolfenstein, when they were coming out with Indiana Jones, and it was machine games, I was thinking, how do you have a first-person shooter, but when you play it, it's not a first-person shooter. It's an immersive sim. So that's why when you pick up a gun in Indiana Jones, it doesn't play good, because Indiana Jones isn't a guy that's used to firing guns. And I just thought that is actually kind of genius. you know? That's why the game doesn't really encourage you to fight enemies that way. In fact, there's a bunch of times in the game where it encourages you to run away, which I think that's really cool. And they can do both kinds of game. They can clearly do an adventure where you don't need to pick them up at all. Hell, I used a shovel for most of that game. Had that classic bonk sound when you hit someone over the head with a shield. Loved it. Or the shovel.
Yeah.
But man, Wolfenstein 3, like the last Wolfenstein pushed console hardware. Like they pushed the Xbox One X to its limits, and that was an Xbox One X launch game, right? It was unbelievable. And by the way, I don't know who else had this experience, but back in 2017 when the Xbox One X came out, I fired up Wolfenstein. I think Wolfenstein was actually the first game I fired up, but that was my first experience 4K. That was 4K 60, all that stuff on a One X, right? And it blew my mind. I'm like, oh, this is what 4K gaming is, because it was so crisp, and it looked phenomenal. But man, I'm excited for the future of machine games. They are one of the best studios, I think. They know what they're doing. Like Indiana Jones, right? Really think about it. They could have went safe with that game, right? And people think I'm trying to insult other games talking about this. Like, I'm not. Like, you have to realize immersive sim as a genre, nobody makes them. Like, it is so rare to get an immersive sim these days. Oh, what the hell? Oh, my screen just went off there. Okay, there we go. My screen went black for some reason. But, like, immersive sims rarely happen. We have Deus Ex, some other games, but Indiana Jones was marketed to us as an adventure game, not as an immersive sim. And it comes out and it surprises people with these immersive sim elements. And they could have came out with a third-person Tomb Raider game or Uncharted game, right? And it would have been easy to market, and it would have made a ton of money, right? But they took a risk, made an immersive sim, and it still made money, even though it launched in Game Pass. Hell, apparently Disney wanted a trilogy, like a full-on trilogy discussed, like when it launched on Xbox Series consoles in 2024. So like that game did so well. I think Machine Games can pretty much make whatever they want, which is good because they're one of the best makers. But yeah, so happy for Machine Games, and I would be shocked if we don't hear from them in the next year. And if people haven't played Wolfenstein or their Wolfenstein games, please play them. They are so much fun. Play
Oh, they're
Indiana
so
Jones.
good.
Yeah, so good. Even the one that doesn't get talked about, which is why I don't like calling it Wolfenstein 3, by the way, because it's technically the fourth one, because of the Wolfenstein The Old Blood. It's like a, 12-hour game? The Old Blood, it's like a short...
Yeah, standalone expansion.
Yeah, standalone expansion. Very short, but yeah, should be good. And I think, I don't think that'll be the secret game at the developer direct. But hey, it is what it is. Man. And I was going to bring up Elder Scrolls 6, but we might as well talk about that next week. It's going to be a great year for video games. Really good year. And there's big releases by Microsoft. Oh my God. By the way, if it ever sounds like I'm annoyed while doing a podcast, know that as I'm trying not to break my chair. Bloody hell. Right. If I ever sound annoyed while doing a podcast, it's not because anything bad's happened. It's because I have all these little tiny errors with my tech, right? My mouse needs charging for some reason whenever I'm doing a podcast. Not any other time, just when we're doing a podcast. My keyboard stops working for some reason just when I'm doing a podcast. I don't know why, but it happens. But anyway, Logan, we've had a lot of different things to talk about today. Let's see. Oh yeah, the Fallout 3 remake. We'll end it on that. So the Fallout 3 remake, it's basically all but confirmed now. We're just waiting for it to happen. Todd Howard has basically hinted at it in the past that they see what we're talking about. And, the Fallout show is absolutely huge at the minute. There's a countdown, which the countdown website looks like the Fallout 3 map. Right? It kind of has that same look. So, I do think that will be announced at some point when the season ends. And it's not like this. By the way, some people have really confused this thing when I've said in the past. This Fallout 3 remake or remaster, whatever people want to call it, it's not something I'm making up. It's the fact that it was on the same leak list that everything else has happened on, right? So Indiana Jones was on that list. The Oblivion remaster was on that list. What was that? What was that Ghost game?
Doom Dark Ages.
Yeah, all these games were on that list that were eventually announced and came out, right? The problem is that list leaked after the I think it was the second lockdown. After the fourth lockdown. So, it's been a long time. The games were put back. They'll happen eventually. But the Fallout 3 remaster or remake, it's happening. And I'm excited for a lot of people, right? This is going to be their first Fallout experience. You're going to have a lot of fans that have watched the new show and want to get into the series, and it's going to be a good place to start. And by the way, we talked about this last week briefly. I find it hilarious how I have New Vegas fans just calling me names over talking about a game that's going to be announced. Oh, it's so funny. I'm talking about a game that's going to come out, and people are angry at me that it's not New Vegas. And I can't figure out why. The intergalactic war between New Vegas fans and Fallout 3 fans is a war I never knew existed up until, this year. But it's hilarious.
It's Sprint versus No Psycho.
Yeah, the psychos, the infighting. I just don't know if this is working. Okay, for some reason my screens keep going off. If you can hear me, just let me know in the chat, because it keeps telling me something's not working. But I don't really pay any attention and get involved in the Halo community. Haven't done for about a decade. Yeah, about a decade. Simply because the infighting's not worth it. So, even though I cover Xbox, I will cover Halo when I need to. But you won't see me post clips of Halo going, "Hey, I'm having fun with this." It's not worth it. It's just not worth it. People argue all the time. I like Halo 4. And people will literally get angry over that. It's crazy. But Fallout 3, we wouldn't have New Vegas if it wasn't for 3. Fallout is what it is today because of 3. Because beforehand, it was a turn-based tactical RPG. So, my God, I've just never noticed that before. And Fallout 3 gets this hate. People are calling it a bad game. It's whoa. Not on my watch, right? We're not calling Fallout 3 a bad game, right? It was higher rated than Fallout New Vegas. I believe it sold more than New Vegas, and this is where people will say, "I thought it's not about sales and reviews and stuff," but I'm always told it is. So I can't win, right? But the best part is they have multiple Fallout games they can work on, right? They're not just going to put out a remaster or remake of 3 and then leave out New Vegas. That's not going to happen. Do you know how much money they're going to make off these games? A lot. Like Fallout 4 is coming. Fallout is coming to the Switch for the first time this year, right? With Fallout 4. Do you know how much money that one port alone is going to make? I'm guessing a lot, right?
Stupid amount.
So like Fallout is a big brand. We just don't get games often in it. And if we get a remake of 3, we're going to get one of Vegas. The proof is in the pudding. Logan, have you got anything else to say on the Fallout stuff?
Super excited, and I love both Fallout 3 and New Vegas. I know it's crazy, but I like how they're just different takes. Like, Fallout 3 is the Bethesda formula, and then Fallout New Vegas has an Obsidian twist on it with talking your way out of things, or like having all these crazy branching ending narratives, and like just overall different experiences, but in the same universe and similar enough to where it just works. So I really like both, and can't wait for the new episode tonight of Fallout. And yeah, great time to be a Fallout fan.
Yeah. By the way, I did see that article going around of what was it? It was like one of the creators of Fallout. Like someone said that they don't think Bethesda cares about Fallout. I
Well,
thought
they're
that was dumb.
ripping.
It was dumb. Right? What do you mean they don't care about Fallout? It's because we don't get games often. You know how long it takes them to make an RPG? My God. But man,
Still waiting on Elder Scrolls 6.
yeah.
Crying out loud.
Like Elder Scrolls 6
2011.
was not. When was that announced? Was that 2016 or 2017?
Somewhere around there, but Skyrim came out in 2011. That's 15 years ago.
Yeah. But
Like,
hey,
we're getting Half-Life territory here
Yeah.
for a sequel.
man, that is scary though, isn't it? Just the timing between sequels is getting really bad.
Yeah.
You meant like GTA, like the timing between 5 and 6 is absurd. By the way, I will mention this at some point on Twitter, and people will lose their marbles, so that'll be fun. I think we would have had GTA 6 years ago if it wasn't for shark cards.
100%.
Like, granted, we were originally going to get up to 8 expansions, single-player expansions, for GTA 6, allegedly. But I think we would have had 6 years ago, right? We used to get a game from Rockstar, like, once a year. Do you know... Another tangent. Do you know, during the 360 era, we had 8 Rockstar games. 8.
Yeah, they were cooking.
Yeah, and that's not including the Xbox 360 version of San Andreas. So technically 9. Oh, 12. I see I can't count today. I'm not even thinking right. But hey, I think we've gone over all the topics. Logan, have you got anything else you want to go over before we close out the show?
Just looking forward to this year and the Dev Direct, and should be a fun one.
Yeah, everyone in chat's been amazing again. Sorry, some of the people didn't get notifications. The website's been acting up today. You should see the screen on my end. It looks horrendous. It's keep glitching out. But anyway, hope everyone in chat has had a great time. Please share it out, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. I have a big video I've been working on for 2 months. It either comes out tomorrow or Thursday. If you're on Xbox or just like games that are coming on gaming stuff, like I said, it's a video I've been working on for 2 months. I think people will really like it. There's games that you've never heard of before, but games that you will want to play. And, I got a chest infection slowly over Christmas. For people that don't know, and I don't even think I told Logan this, about 3 days before Christmas, my kitchen sink basically exploded and flooded the entire kitchen. Right? So panic, ensued, and I was like, how do I get this fixed? So eventually got fixed, but I think the damp has caused me to get a chest infection. So I've barely been able to make it through this show and the last one. So that's why getting out videos is taking its time. But thankfully, I figured out a new way to get stuff done. Won't really affect videos at all. Just it's my editing process. But let's just say I have a lot of videos coming, and the support is greatly appreciated. I have many cool things coming, and some big things and some big projects. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good day. We're out, everybody. We're back for a new episode next Tuesday, and the video, again, should be out in the next couple of days. Anyway, we're out, everybody. Peace. And we are done. That was good.